Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Merdhutillah Raizal will present the summary, the last three chapters of The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. In Chapter 7, in order to protect Daisy, Gatsby becomes more reclusive. He fires his servants and to avoid even more rumors. Gatsby and Daisy even bolder in display affection. Nick and Gatsby go to a lunch at Buchanan one day. Tom gets up to take a phone call and Daisy kisses Gatsby and proclaims her love. Just then, her daughter, Pammy, appears led by her nurse. Daisy shows them off and sends them away. During the meal, Gatsby and Daisy gaze lovingly at each other. Tom can no longer deny that they are having an affair. Abruptly, Daisy suggests a trip to New York. Tom agrees and demands to drive Gatsby's car with Jordan and Nick. Gatsby takes Tom's car with Daisy. In the car, Tom explodes about the obvious no-sum relationship. On the way, he stops at Wilson's garage for gas. A sick Wilson tells Tom he's discovered his wife is having an affair. Tom can't believe it. The prospect of losing his wife and his mistress is too much. Nick notes the hovering eyes of the Dr. Ethelbert and also Myrtle's jealous eyes. It's oppressively hot in the city, so the party decides to rent a hotel and drink. As they relax, Tom tries to catch Gatsby in a lie, but Gatsby is cool and composed. Tom says, "What kind of row are you trying to cause in my house anyhow?" Boldly, Gatsby rises and tells Tom that Daisy never loved him. Gatsby insists Daisy tells him, to which she robotically agrees. Tom seems genuinely hurt. Under Tom's questioning, Daisy admits that of course she loved Tom and scornfully says that Gatsby asked too much of her. Tom knows that he shattered Daisy's illusion of Gatsby and tells Gatsby to drive Daisy home. Now, on the way back to East Egg, Tom, Nick, and Jordan see Myrtle has been killed in a hit-and-run accident. It's obvious it was Gatsby's car that struck her. Nick horrified to learn that they didn't stop after hitting Myrtle. Back at the Buchanans, Nick finds Gatsby hiding in the bushes. Gatsby admits that Daisy had been driving that car when it killed Myrtle. Nick lived disgust. Chapter 8 begins the morning after the accident. Nick visits Gatsby. He encouraged him to leave West Egg for a while, but Gatsby refuses to leave Daisy. He describes how they first met and how he courted her before the war. Before shipping out, he and Daisy made love and leaving Gatsby to feel married to her. Daisy promised to wait for Gatsby to return, but she grew anxious the longer he was away. The following spring, she met and married Tom, who matched her social rank, whom her parents approved of. When Gatsby did return, Daisy was already on her honeymoon. Despite this, Gatsby is still convinced he and Daisy will end up together. Before boarding the train to work, Nick calls out that Gatsby is worth the whole damn bunch put together. In the Valley of Ashes, George Wilson struggles with Myrtle's death and discovery of her infidelity. He convinced himself her death was murder. He believes God demands revenge. He asks around and learns from Tom that it was Gatsby's car that killed his wife. George travels to West Egg and shoots Gatsby in his pool, and then turns the gun on himself. Nick, worried when he can't get through Gatsby on the phone, leaves work early and discovers the body. When Gatsby returned from Daisy, he is surprised that she didn't need him. He can't come to grief that she's changed so much since he first met her. The reality is that Gatsby doesn't really know her. In Chapter 9, the day of Gatsby's death descends into gossip. Fearing he will have to plan Gatsby's funeral on his own, Nick reaches out to Gatsby's friend, but they disappear. Even Daisy and Tom have abandoned their home without leaving a forwarding address. Nick is infuriated by the fickleness of Gatsby's friend. He, a few servant, and Gatsby's father attend the funeral. Despite the fact that Gatsby had abandoned his past, his father spoke fondly of his son. In New York, one afternoon Nick bumps into Tom, and Tom admits that he told George Wilson that Gatsby killed Myrtle. Nick is outraged, but Tom insists he deserved to die. Tom also admits he suffered terribly after Myrtle's death. But it's only because he had to give up his New York apartment. Nick leaves the conversation feeling as if he had been talked to a child. After saying goodbye once and for all to Jordan, Nick packs up his belongings and prepares to move back to Midwest. One last night, he visits Gatsby's house and stares across the bay at the green lights in the distance. That's all the summary of the last 3 chapters. Thank you very much for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.